Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. Gear Collection Tour 2021. Let's do it. So, it's that time of year again. And by that I mean, well, we kind of do this at a random time every year. But you guys ask a lot. There's a lot of gear that's always coming in and going out all the time. That's just the nature of running a YouTube channel like this one. So what's actually stayed? What's the collection looking like right now? What gets the most amount of use? We'll run through all that. It's also fun as kind of like an annual gear diary. See how things change year to year. Also, use it as an opportunity to take inventory and let things go to better homes if they're not getting enough playing time here. So make sure you're following me on socials and the Reverb store, links in the description. But for now, let's check out some gear. Alright, so first up, these are the main guitars that I've been using lately. I have these on rotation if I'm just playing for myself outside of a YouTube video, or if I'm stuck on a demo track and I just need additional inspiration, I'll pick up one of these. Here's the current number one. It's a 1974 Gibson Les Paul Custom Resto Mod. I love this guitar. I love Les Pauls, and 70s Les Pauls are my favorites, with the thin necks, the heavy ass pancake bodies, volutes. They're so unique compared to Les Pauls from other eras. And what's even cooler about this one is, I mean, if you saw this guitar when I first got it, there's a full video series, but this guitar was a mess. Cheapest vintage Les Paul custom in the world for a reason. Now it's got a bare knuckle Ragnarok set with both humbuckers splittable. The neck is set to single coil mode by default. Tone Pros hardware and Kluson tuners both hand aged in my kitchen using white vinegar, and the pièce de résistance stainless steel frets with ultra round ball ends. Pretty unassuming from the first look, but man, this thing is a Les Paul custom like none other. And it's almost kind of ruined this next guitar for me. It's another Resto Mod, this one a 1972. Got the husk off of eBay a while back. It's also had a rough life. Look at how many tuner sets it's had. When I use it in videos, a lot of people think it's a Chibson because of the bridge. It's got large posts, which is usually the dead giveaway for a fake. But nah, a previous owner decided that a brass block bolted into the body under the bridge was a great idea because, I don't know, it wasn't heavy enough already. Like, this guitar is stupid heavy, even compared to the 74. In fairness, it sounds great. The sustain is crazy, so maybe they were onto something. Anyways, ABR posts don't work. It has a metric Goto in there instead. Spurs are locking tuners, and it used to have EMGs because that's what James Hetfield had. Found the Willie Adler Fishman set though, and it sounds incredible. Plus, the aged covers match the vibe with all the wear and finish checking, and you can see the lacquer shrinking into the pancake body, which happens with age to Norland Les Pauls. The reason this has been dethroned by the previous guitar though is that it's not the greatest thing to play right now. The thing badly needs a refret. It was already a fretless wonder. Low, flat frets out of the factory. 49 years have not done them any favors. And the only reason that hasn't been sorted out is it still has the fret nib binding. They feel awesome. It's one of those special Gibson things, and usually they get completely destroyed during a refret. It sounds too good for the relatively small amount of playing time it gets though, so eventually I'll either bite the bullet and just get it refretted with stainless steel like its twin, or hopefully I can find some poor bastard crazy enough to do stainless steel with the fret nibs. One of the new ones in rotation for this year is the Maybach Lester. Oh yeah, by the way, I like Les Pauls. This particular model is a 72 Edelweiss. No idea why it's a 72 because it is 100% not a Norland inspired model, but we move. Maybach is a German brand. The guitars are hand-built by very skilled luthiers in the Czech Republic. Super traditional style Les Paul custom, big chunky neck, no volute, PAF style Spirit of 59 pickups, Goto hardware. The parent company is also behind the Plek machines, so the fretwork is perfect. The Germans know how to use their own shit. Artificial aging, finish checking, faded gold hardware. It looks old, but it's so new, it still has that new nitro guitar smell, which is pretty funny. Comes in this crazy ornate case as well. So yeah, it's like a high quality European Les Paul custom, and it's relatively affordable too. At least compared to a new Gibson. Kind of in the same vein is this SB59V. Very 59 standard inspired, and this, no joke, arguably the best guitar I own. Been saying that for a couple of years now. Eastman is a company that handcrafts super high-end guitars out of China. They actually started with more traditional stringed instruments like violins and mandolins. Just like the Maybach, it's a new guitar built in August of 2019, I think, with some really tasteful artificial aging. Go to hardware, Lawler Imperial PAF style pickups, but it's the finish on this. It's nuts. It's a special varnish you'd normally only find on classical stringed instruments, so it feels like an old cello or an old violin or something. It feels absolutely incredible, really natural, better than nitro in my opinion. You really feel connected to the wood when you play it. It's unlike anything else on the market. It's got a weird soft V neck shape, and the neck joint is awful. The fretwork is perfection. It plays great, it sounds awesome. Love this thing. ESP Standard Eclipse 2, best playing guitar in my collection, and this is my go-to when I still played in a band. I babied this thing. And even still, there's like a bunch of small dings and scratches. The gold on the bridge is starting to wear off from all the chugging. Played the absolute shit out of this thing. The thin U neck shape is my favorite of all time. Combine that with the extra jumbo frets with rounded ball ends. Amazing. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say about this, to be honest. It's an Eclipse. For years, it's been the go-to modern single cut for a reason. The guys at ESP Japan know how to make a freaking guitar. This one's a 2010 before the E2 rebrand, so it's still got the proper ESP logo. Everything's stock except I've done the 18 volt mod, which makes the EMGs less compressed, gives them more character. Putting gold Fishman Moderns into it has been on my to-do list for like a year though. I've got them. I'll get around to making that Agufish video sometime in 2021, I'm sure. One that I've just picked up that's come for the Eastman's crown though as the objectively best guitar in the collection is this Navigator NLP CTM. Navigator is ESP's highest end Japan exclusive brand that focuses on traditional inspired instruments. They're made at ESP's custom shop in Japan, kind of like their answer to Fender's or Gibson's custom shop. Been curious about them for a while because, I mean, I love my Eclipse too. Quality-wise, I'd put that up against any high tier guitar. It's so good. And that's a sub $2,000 guitar. So how good must the Navigator be if they're asking $5,000 new for one? Obviously, hard to get here in the US. Found one used at a decent price and holy shit. It's straight up just the holy grail of Les Pauls. It's hard to describe exactly how fucking good this is. The quality is insane. It's even got the Gibson style fret nib binding. Go to hardware, Seymour Duncan Seth Lover pickups. It sounds fantastic. It's not a Gibson, but it's the best traditional Les Paul I've ever played. Rounding out the ESP trend, I guess, is this Edwards ELP112CE. Edwards is very similar to Navigator in that it is also a Japan exclusive brand that focuses on traditional style instruments, but they aren't built in the custom shop. It's still kind of a mystery exactly where they're made. There are a ton of rumors. The most common one, apparently they're mostly made in China, then finished in Japan, but honestly, who knows? All I know for sure is that this one is really, really good. It's also one of the more sought after ones. It's modeled after one of James Hetfield's modified 70s Gibsons he used during the St. Anger era. Dark purple satin finish, EMG pickups. The previous owner was also a Hetfield fan since the tuners were replaced with Spurzels. And this was not an easy guitar to find. They didn't make that many. It was only produced for a couple of years, only sold in Japan, and it was discontinued back in 2007. Was looking for one for years, finally found one on like some sketchy Spanish forum. By some miracle, it wasn't a scam. Had it shipped to Thomann, picked it up when I was in Germany. On the flight back, KLM managed to lose it immediately, and incredibly, it turned up without warning a few days later, but that was a massive scare. Probably get at least one offer a week for it, like everybody seems to want one. Next one, Chapman ML2 Pro Modern. I mean, I have never seen a flame maple cap like this one, let alone on a guitar that at the time it was like $1,200. Neck through construction, super rounded fingerboard edges. It was my first introduction to stainless steel frets, my first introduction to hipshot open gear locking tuners, which I now find an excuse to throw on any mod project builds. Replaced the stock pickups with the Fluence kill switch engage set, which it's not my favorite Fluence set, but it still sounds good. Looks great in this guitar too. The slightly longer 25-inch scale length on a single cut is dope. Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent player, looks absolutely gorgeous. Very hyped for the return or the relaunch of the ML2 that, according to a recent Instagram post, is apparently happening soon. A conversation I had with Rob Chapman a few years ago basically kept me going when I thought about giving up on the channel. So this guitar holds a special place in my heart and puts me in a really good mood every time I play it. Then there's this Fender American Professional 2 Telecaster Deluxe Combo Breaker. I mean, yes, because technically it is a single cut, but it's not a Les Paul inspired single cut. First Telecaster Deluxe I've tried, first American Fender I've owned. It's super cool. The Dark Knight metallic blue blackburst color is awesome. It's got the massive 70s style headstock, obsessed with that. It doesn't chug so well, which is a shame, but also a ton of guitars can chug, and it adds a different flavor to the arsenal. It's a very nice, clean guitar, so that's generally what I'll break it out for. Like, it's great chill vibes. American Fenders, man, such great value for how much high-end guitar you're getting. Obviously, my Harley Benton signature is in heavy rotation. They basically gave me a blank piece of paper to put together a dream guitar, and that's essentially what this is. I also wanted to do some things to make sure it was accessible to more people and make sure it'd be a great choice for people who don't care about the channel, don't care about the music I play. Just wanted it to be a great all-around guitar with some special features that set it apart. So that's basically what this is. Thin carved top single cut with an ash top, roasted flame maple neck. That's not too common on a single cut. And of course, natural figuring means each piece is different, makes every guitar in the run unique in some way. Set through neck joint, 25-inch scale length, stainless steel, extra jumbo frets, lumen lays, brushed chrome hardware, Grover locking tuners, custom designed Seraphim pickup set. I mean, yeah, it sounds good, it plays great, it's super reliable. So proud of how it came out. One of the main goals as well was to keep it at €499, and I think with that hard restriction in place, we made the best modern single cut we could have possibly made at that price point. The 74 Restamod is the current #1, but this is a close second in terms of how much playing time it gets. The import factory situation is all kinds of messed up right now, but we've been hard at work on V2. So excited for that to drop sometime. And the last one that gets a huge amount of playing time is this Squier Hello Kitty. Obviously, it's not completely stock. I picked the body up off of Craigslist when I was visiting family in Queens, in New York City. Very nice family sellers. They were definitely not expecting a dude in his 20s to be the buyer, but we move. No gig bag or anything, so I took it on the NYC subway, through JFK, through the Atlanta airport, on the Atlanta Metro, in the Uber back home, all without a gig bag. It was just me and my Hello Kitty guitar, and I was so proud of it. The airplane captain was very impressed. He actually wanted to buy it off me, but I said no. There were plans for this thing: Graphtec nut, Hipshot open gear locking tuners, Fishman Fluence modern humbucker, Evertune bridge. Apart from everything, the looks, the features being undeniably epic, the reason this gets so much playing time is, I mean, the neck is great, but really, it's the Evertune bridge. Every time I pick it up, it's in tune, it's ready to write, it's ready to track. The Fluence pickup is super clear, it's got multiple voices. Yes, the irony factor is very strong here. It looks like a joke guitar, and like, why would you play this when you've got vintage Gibson Les Paul Customs? Well, because the old Gibson necks kind of move a bit, whereas this, it's so easy to just get to work with because it is so damn reliable. So those are the guitars, they get the most use. It's skewed very heavily towards single cuts. Did I mention I like Les Pauls? Moving on to other guitars that don't get as much playing time, but are still super cool, or have a lot of sentimental value, or are just plain stupid, like this 7-string Hello Kitty with an Evertune. At this point, Squier should really just bring back the Hello Kitty Strat. Prices are insane, and of course, when prices are insane, you get knockoffs on AliExpress. What I was not expecting was a 7-string version, and I was like, well, that's really fucking stupid. I need it. So I bought it, and it was not very good. The pickguard is hand-painted badly, and to this day, I'm not actually convinced the truss rod actually does anything. So I threw a bunch of money at it to try to make it better. Kind of like a sister project to the 6-string Graphtec nut, Hipshot open gear locking tuners. This time wired in a custom Seymour Duncan black winner with white bobbins. Looks super cool. Made it splittable as well for single coil sounds. And the custom black Evertune unit with gold saddles looks awesome. But even then, the fret material is pretty bad. The neck moves a lot on its own accord. Realistically, it probably just needs an entirely new neck. But Until then, at least it's always in tune. Speaking of tunes though, let's talk about your tunes and how to get them online. I don't know what that was. Listen, it's been a while since I've done a segue. I'm a little out of practice. So DistroKid, as you may or may not know, depending on how much YouTube you watch, is the easiest service to get your music onto Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, all the other ones I'm forgetting about right now. It's super easy to upload a song with album art and synced lyrics with just a few clicks. Once it's done processing, it's there. That simple. If it's a cover, they'll even help with getting the license. And they're always adding new features to help improve the service for artists. One example, Spotify verification right through the platform. That blue check mark, such a flex, and it's super easy. And that's really the theme. They make everything super easy to do as an independent artist. So you make music, you want to get it out there, you should definitely be using DistroKid. It's what I use. Pricing starts at just 20 bucks a year for unlimited uploads, and if you use the link in the description, you can snag a bonus 7% off. They're awesome, not just the team and the service, but also the way that they support YouTube creators. They're legit the gold standard for getting new music online and heard. And speaking of gold, there is a ton of gold on this next guitar. 2006 Epiphone G400 Custom, first quote-unquote real guitar that I bought with my own money. Tutored English in Shanghai for a summer job, saved up all the money, spent it all on this guitar. This guitar is how I got started with the whole modding thing. Didn't like the stock bridge at all, replaced it with Godot. The bridge and neck are a custom hand-wound Buddha Sharkbite set, which are majority based on Black Winners with aged gold covers, and then a Seymour Duncan Fat Cat in the middle, which sounds amazing blended with cleans. It's a chrome covered version instead of gold because when I bought it used, there was only one listing for the gold and it was 10 bucks over my budget, and I couldn't afford it. This was my main guitar for a long time. Played my first gig with it, actually. Carried it back and forth between China and the US a lot, so it's got a lot of battle scars. First time using a soldering iron was on this guitar. Had way too much fun with that, and ended up soldering my college roommate's fork to a middle windowsill for absolutely no reason. Bought him a new, nicer one as an apology. Good times. Fender Player Series Tele. There's something about Telecasters, man. I firmly believe every guitar should have one. Said it before, they're kind of like beer. Before, I was like, why would anyone want a Tele? They're so ugly with the tiny headstock and a weird, oddly blocky body. It's such an old design. More than any other guitar, it's essentially a slab of wood with strings on it. And then one day you randomly wake up and be like, you know what? I'm kind of really in the mood for a Tele. Or at least that's how it happened to me, and I've heard that I'm not alone in that. And the Player Series is just great value. The neck is fantastic, all the components are solid. The pickups actually sound really mean with a lot of gain, but it's that twang you don't get with other guitars. Plays great, it's like all the essentials of a Tele with none of the frivolous nonsense. Super fun guitar. It's stock right now, might upgrade some components, not because it needs it, but because I really like it and kind of just want to make it my own in some way. Squier Bullet Strat from 2004, 2005? Details are a bit fuzzy, we move, but this was my first electric guitar. Holds a metric ton of sentimental value. All the skate stickers and everything, this is peak middle school. It was about $100 new when I was still living in China, and it seems to be a bit of an anomaly. As far as Fender is concerned, they never sold this guitar, or at least in this configuration. HSS Bullet Strat in black with a maple fingerboard never existed. Not only that, it's got a full thickness strap body, not the thinner one you'd find on most Bullets and Affinities. So this is not a spec combination that was ever offered in the US. Maybe it was an Asia exclusive guitar, maybe it was whatever parts they had left over that they put together and were just like, F it, this'll work. Stamp Bullet Strat on the headstock, someone will buy it. Either way, I've kept it around not just because it means a lot to me, but the neck is actually really good. It's dark, it's really oiled. On the fingerboard, there's no fret sprout, the edges are well rounded. Feels better than even the neck on my Player Tele, actually. Upgraded the crap out of it too. Hipshot open gear locking tuners, what a surprise. Graphtec nut, also a massive surprise, I know. Full Fender tremolo, custom made Buddha pickups. The humbucker has a mix of ceramic and Alnico magnets, and that was actually the basis for the Seraphim set in my signature guitar. You can see the janky install, kinda just carved up the pickguard with a knife so the covered humbucker would fit. And the last thing I did was install a Fishman triple play, so it's got MIDI capability as well. It's cool, the guitar's been with me for my entire electric guitar playing journey, the bones of it at least, even if most of the components have been swapped out along the way. 10S GF 7 string. A while back, 10S reached out and asked if they could make a custom guitar for me. I mean, it's not something you say no to, right? Told them what I wanted, put some specs on paper, and this is what they built. Love the color. The actual poplar burl cap is so sick. Stainless steel frets, lumen lays, replaced the pickups with the Javier Reyes Fluent set because the stock pickups were not good. I mean, yeah, it's a 7-string single cut with a really cool top. If I were bigger into 7 strings, this would get a lot more playing time. On a related note, Schecter Banshee Mach Series 7-string with an Evertune. Something that I found about a lot of Schecters is they generally have great specs on paper for the money, but lack personality, if that makes sense. Not this one. It feels alive. In the Lundgren pickups, first time trying those, they're hand wound in Sweden. Listen, Meshuggah uses them for a reason. They're very mean and very, very tight with a lot of gain. Chuggy as The guitar is completely specced out, neck through construction, 5-piece roasted maple purple heart neck, stainless steel frets, lumen lays, and the Evertune is great, especially for extended range. Pitch drift is completely gone. Again, not much of a 7-string player, but on the rare occasion I do go for 7 strings, this is the guitar I'm reaching for. Here's an earlier prototype of my Harley Benton Signature. You can see we had a pretty good idea of what we were going for from the beginning in terms of the look. This one has Fluence Moderns, Tone Pros hardware, even Hipshot open gears. Quality-wise, it's really good, but all the premium parts meant the price point was so much higher than what we wanted it to be, and so we decided not to go down that route. If you look on the back, though, you can see 2 things. 1, the figuring on that roasted flame maple neck is insane, and 2, the reason I play the other one more. This neck joint is terrible. Designed a new set-through style in the final version, which I believe they're using now for the SC Customs as well. This is so cool. Basically, it's a Les Paul custom style guitar in pink, duh, but it's also kind of got that Fender road-worn vibe. Thin layer of nitro, tasteful artificial aging, really nice ebony fingerboard, mother of pearl inlays, all that for like $500. Crazy how close this feels to a proper vintage Les Paul custom for that price because of that aged nitro. Sounds pretty good. I've got gold Fishman Classics I've been meaning to throw into this though. This was supposed to be the prototype of like a special limited run, hence the logo on the headstock, but timing didn't work out and they just started selling this color anyways. But yeah, it was introduced because I was like, I really like what you do for the price. Can you do it in pink? We're thinking of maybe doing something else going forward, like with aged nitro and stuff, but with a single humbucker. Still in the works. And the last 7-string I've currently got right now is another Schecter. It's the KM7 Mark III Keith Merrow Signature. It's the artist version, so it's also incredibly specced out. Hipshot bridge, Keith Merrow Signature Fluence pickups, which is one of my favorite sets. Also got that lumen lay and stainless steel fret combo. The inlays are pretty cool. They're aluminum instead of pearloid or mother of pearl. Very metal. Get it? What's funny is that this must be one of the only guitars in the world that looks better from the back than it does from the front. Neck through construction, and look at that Wenge maple purple heart neck. Incredible. Hipshot open gear locking tuners as well. The man's got great taste. Another guitar with the same pickups, it's the Solar Single Cut. Have you seen it? Obviously, Ola England's brand. The model name is GC 2.6, I think? 2 series regardless, so it's from the more affordable line. No stainless steel frets, no lumen lays, but man is it a great player. Gibson should be taking notes. This is one of the best set-through neck joints on the market. Love the way it looks too. Like, Ola could have gone more traditional inspired, but he's like, nah, that. Might be a single cut, but this is unapologetically a metal guitar. Apparently, I'm like the only one in the world that isn't a big fan of the Duncan Solar pickups, so the only thing I've done is swap them out for Keith Merrow's Fluence set. So it's like a combo tribute to the OG metal guitar gear YouTubers. Such a cool guitar, and Ola's been a huge inspiration, so this guitar does mean a lot. Speaking of tribute guitars, here are 2 twin DIY modded Metallica themed Harley Benton EX84s. These were models I helped Toman launch, and so fun fact, the entire EX84 redesign was basically a Metallica tribute to begin with. So much so, like the original code name I had listed for the spec sheet was the EX Het. But anyways, I got the original prototypes, swapped out the stock pickups for the Bonebreaker and Het sets, and then a friend of mine drew on custom artwork using a Sharpie. Took the visual layout from the Papa Het guitar, and the actual content is inspired by this viral picture of a seal taking a bite out of a mola mola, since the sunfish is one of the channel logos. So on the white one, the mola is winning the battle. On the black one, the seal is winning. So yeah, these are like twin, but complementary opposite guitars. I don't know, it's just one of those fun things you can do with cheap guitars, which leads us very nicely into this next one. Now, this is the guitar that built the channel. Without this guitar, we would not even be close to approaching 100,000 subscribers. This is the High Integrity Strat, the original over-the-top Pimp My Ride style project. I was in China checking out some guitar factories and I came across this pink Strat copy, and brand new, they wanted $30 US for it. That's it. And it had this sticker on it in brilliantly broken English. Satisfaction, competitive, high integrity. Amazing. Really appreciated the honesty. Satisfaction, competitive, but not guaranteed. So of course, I had to have it. And you know what? I have no idea how, but it was actually decent. The neck is surprisingly, legitimately good. It's smooth, it's well oiled. Then I decided to throw about 600 bucks worth of parts in there, and now it has over 2 million views. Hipshot open gear locking tuners, obviously. Graphtech nut, Hipshot bridge. I could not figure out the wiring situation, so Kensusi of Unearth actually installed the Fluence pickups and the battery pack. It needs a bit of a setup, and I'm not a huge 3 single coil Strat person, so it doesn't get that much playing time, but it's actually held up well. But yeah, without this guitar, I'd probably be doing something else instead of making YouTube content. So mom, dad, if you're trying to figure out where it all went wrong, you can pinpoint it right back to this guitar. LTD EC1000 CTM, so the full thickness version. 2021 model, so it's got stainless steel frets and everything, Fluence Open Core Classics. This was a pre-production prototype, which is really cool. It was like the one they used to shoot all their promo vids. The person that had it before me is Dan Gailey of Fit for a King, so that's pretty cool. Weird neck on this. It's got the extra thin U instead of the regular thin U that are always on the Eclipses, because I guess the factory messed up. Weird, funny prototype thing. Not really sure how that happened. Dean Caddy Select. I go back and forth between absolutely loving and absolutely hating this guitar. It plays real well. The quality is great. It's just so freaking ugly. Never thought I'd own one of these. Like, the headstock is just stupid. But here we are, and I kind of like Dean's now. Ibanez RGA61AL, I think? Fucking Ibanez names. Part of the first run of the Axion label series. Actually, even before that, this was the pre-production prototype they brought to NAMM to unveil the new line. So it had a bunch of people testing it out all weekend, got some buckle rash and stuff. Ibanez sent it over for a demo. I ended up really liking it, so they said I could keep it. Didn't ever think I'd be an Ibanez owner either. But here we are. Diversity is always good. Epiphone Les Paul Prophecy, one of the much hyped 2020 versions. Really cool guitar, 24 frets, locking Grover's proprietary Fishman Fluences. Great color too, kind of like an aged Silverburst. You know, a lot of the time it seems like Epiphone is doing cooler, more contemporary, more exciting stuff than even Gibson. This is just one example of that. And the last interesting new one is this Melody Maker. It's a 1965 and it's in pretty sorry condition. The refinish is horrible, the bridge is more rust than metal, and I have no idea what's going on with the headstock. Shout out to Dan, he found it, he's a subscriber that gave me a great price on it because of the state that it's in. When these aren't falling apart, they're kind of cool in the very ugly kind of way, and it's gonna make for an awesome Resta mod. Haven't quite figured out what I want to do with it yet. Maybe a P-Rails as the pickup. Let me know if you got any ideas. It'd be awesome to get some suggestions. Only bass I own, Squire Bullet P-Bass. Got it from the same place as my Bullet Strat, so again, same story. The sticker is Peak Middle School, the neck is awesome, and Fender says this model never existed. I haven't played real bass in like 2 years. Everything's been MIDI, but Ken just sent over a set of Mike Inez Fluences, so I'm gonna see if Wendell can route out the body to fit soap bars, and let's see if we can bring this thing back to life. F it, bass mod project, let's do it. And last up, same acoustic guitars as I've had for years. A 12-string Martin D12X 1AE I got off a friend in college who was going back to India. I have it in the Tremonti DADADD tuning, so when you strum it, it's like I'm just giving you one massive D to the ear holes. Wait. And a Martin SWD GT. Part of their sustainable wood series, Sitka spruce top, solid cherry back and sides. Now, I'm not really an acoustic player at all. Most acoustics I couldn't give one shit about, but there's something about this one. It's the only acoustic ever that I've really bonded with. Needed an acoustic for a gig with my band, found it at a Guitar Center in like 2013 at a really good price. Played like one chord on it and I was like, yeah, I'm getting this. And I'm glad I did. Not only because it's been great to play for years, but also I've seen how much they're selling for on Reverb now, and my broke ass definitely did not pay that much for it. Oh, and I forgot about this one. 1986 Epiphone Les Paul 1. Gibson and Epiphone did some weird shit in the 80s. It's like a 25.5-inch scale length Super Strat Les Paul hybrid thing. It's kind of not great, to be honest. The Steinberger Trem is a disaster waiting to happen. Epiphone's come a long way. I planned to mod this one because it's an interesting bass for a project, but as I said, I kind of forgot about this one. For now, let's move on to amps. I went a bit amp crazy during quarantine, not gonna lie. Now, there are a lot of questions. How do you run big-ass tube heads in an apartment? Well, with a couple exceptions that I'll point out, they run through this absolute godsend of a device. 2 notes, Torpedo Live. It's basically a load box and IR loader in one. Think of it like a virtual replacement for a speaker cabinet. But rather than making a load of noise and getting me evicted, you can load in virtual speaker cabinets with different speaker variations, mic placements, blend them, modify the EQ, and then you've got a perfectly mic'd cabinet sound from your tube amps directly into your interface. Right now, for me, that's the Focusrite Claret 8 Pre, and then that goes directly into the computer, whatever DAW you're using. Right now, this is a Hackintosh, so that's Logic Pro 10, and that is how I record big-ass tube amps in a city apartment at 3 in the morning sometimes, if need be, completely silently. So this is Tone Mountain, Georgia. These are like the amps that I use the most for day-to-day demo work, and it looks a lot different this year compared to last year. Up top, Rivera Rock Crusher attenuator, basically an external power soak, so I can really crank the amps, but keep it at whisper quiet, apartment-friendly levels. Above that, the Wisteria bonsai tree I'm trying to grow. I'm not a green thumb, so it may or may not be here next year. So if I'm using that, the Rock Crusher goes between the amps and this trusty 2x12 Mesa Recto cab. Found it at a great price on Craigslist because it was beat to super solid, loaded with V30s, the gold standard for 212s, in my opinion. Mesa Dual Rectifier now at the top of the amp stack, the only survivor from Tone Mountain 2020. This is the multi-watt version, had a summer job, saved every penny, and blew it all on this. It was like, I don't know anything about tube amps, but Metallica plays Mesas, so I want one. There's a decent chance it was stolen. It was not listed as a B stock or anything, but the price was so good. And it was brand new, still had the tags on it and everything. I guess the logo is kind of crooked, but still pretty sus. Dual Recs are such funny amps, man. It's pretty hard to dial anything in, and I still find them pretty unusable without a boost. But once you get it, I mean, they are thick boys. And if you're wondering what these Jinbei-san stickers are, a friend thought they were really cute and put them on all the amps that are keepers, which obviously includes the dual rack because it kicks ass. Rev Generator 120 Mark III, this is the newest one I've bought. Made in Canada, still need to make a video on it because it is probably the most useful studio amp in the world. Love the guys at Rev, had them make this one custom in white and it looks so clean. Super versatile, it does the clean pedal platform thing, it does the crunchy overdrive thing, it does the tight genty thing, it does the thick boy rhythm thing, and what's extra cool is the built-in 2-notes torpedo. So you don't need a speaker cab or external load like the Torpedo Live. You can plug this directly into your interface using XLR and record all the amp tones directly into the computer. It's freaking crazy. Using Kettner Triumph Mark III, it's been my dream amp for a long time because it's nuts. One, it's the coolest looking amp on the market, don't even fucking at me. And the feature set is insane. It's got like 1 billion tubes in there, like forget my future kids college fund. I'm gonna set up a Triumph Retube fund instead. It's got 6 channels, all with completely different voices. You've got your channels voiced like a Fender Clean, Vox Clean, 6505, JCM 800, triple rectifier. And I don't even know what 3B is, but holy does it have a dumb amount of low ends. The boost isn't universal, it's got a unique voice that complements whatever channel you're on, and you can even independently set what power tube combination you want per channel. So say on the Marshall type Crunch, I only want to use the pair of EL34s, I can do that. Or on the Mesa type Distortion, I want to use both EL34s and all 4 6L6s, I can do that too. In fact, that's what I normally do with this amp. And every channel has this high fidelity quality that makes it so easy to sit nicely in a mix. You kind of have to be careful with it because it is so precise. It's not forgiving at all. So when I use it, I really need to step up my game. Love this amp so much. I'm still so humbled Hughes & Kettner let me keep the Tri-Amp. I'm never, ever selling it. It's so freaking cool. I love it so much. And the last new one on Toe Mountain, Georgia is the Angle Savage 120 Mark II. First Angle I've really had the pleasure of spending a proper amount of time with, and holy shit. If this and the Tri-Amp have taught me anything, the Germans, they know how to make a freaking high gain amp. Not gonna lie to you though, this amp really annoyed me in the beginning because it has so many switches on it. It's not very intuitive to figure out what everything does, but man, does it sound good. Like the tone is so ballsy. It's very thick, but not like the Mesa. It's still very tight. You don't need a boost or anything. It's just so aggressive out of the box. In terms of just pure raw metal tone, it's hard to go wrong with anything on Toe Mountain. I'm pretty spoiled in that way, but at least right now, in this moment, the Angle is probably the one I've been gravitating to the most. My last name is also Engel, not spelled exactly the same, but also German, so I may be a little biased. Over here on the amp shelves are the ones that get used on rare occasions. Jet City 100 HDM, designed by Soldano. It's like an import version of the Soldano Hot Rod 100. Complete one-trick pony. The overdrive channel is great, and that's it. And the line level effects loop doesn't like any of my pedals, so it doesn't get that much playing time. Even so, it's got a lot of sentimental value, so I don't think I'll sell it. I love Jet City. The amps are great value, and they're the first amp company that took a chance to work with me on the channel. Got me into my first NAMM as well, so like I owe a lot to Jet City. Apparently they're very moddable as well. Like there's an entire community dedicated to modding Jet City amps. Kinda wanna mod it to sound more like an SLO, but I also have no faith I can do that without killing myself. Boss Katana Mark II head. This is like the ultimate practice slash small gig head. Super light and portable, versatile, a bunch of built-in effects, feels indestructible. Really cool. Only solid state amp I have, but I've kept it for a reason. Like it can do so much. Right next to that, orange Rock Reverb 100 Mark III. If I could fit this onto Tone Mountain, I would. Made in the UK, I mean, even from the looks, you can tell this amp is not like the others. Very simple controls, minimal words, like the hieroglyphics indicate what everything does, and the high gain sound is so unique. It's so mean and fuzzy. Like you either love it or you hate it. I refer to this as like the Nintendo console of high gain amps. You know how like you can play Call of Duty on whatever console, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, maybe the controller's different, maybe the graphics aren't quite the same, but they'll all play Call of Duty or FIFA or whatever. Then you've got Nintendo and it's like, yo, Mario Party though? And that's how I feel about the orange, if that makes sense. The Rev, the Angle, they sound different, but they'll all do the tight, modern, high gain sound. That's what I want most of the time. And the Rock Reverb doesn't really excel at that, but sometimes the situation calls for that nasty, round, orange sound, and nothing does that but the orange. So honestly, I'd never have the Rock Reverb as my main amp, but I also needed to have one for those Mario Party moments. It's also heavy as shit for no reason, which I can't figure out, and the logo looks like a boob, which is pretty funny. We move. Marshall DSL 100H. Got this in a Craigslist trade. It was a 6505 plus 112 combo and a 12-pack of Tecate beer for this on 4th of July weekend a few years back. It's not the most recent 100-watt DSL, it's from the previous generation, and it sounds surprisingly close to the boosted dual rec for some reason. I used to use it a lot, not so much anymore. The tone is great, it's very reliable, but both the Hughes & Kettner and the Rev do the Marshall thing better than the DSL. So if I get another big amp, this will probably be the one that makes way for it. The Marshall logo is so iconic though, so it'd probably have to be like a JCM 800 or a Silver Jubilee if I can find a used one at a good price. Rev G20, it's so cute. This little thing kicks ass though. Canada made, 20 watt, got a great clean channel and that famous tight high gain purple channel. Built-in 2 notes as well, just like the big generator, so tube tone right into your computer. Kind of really love it. The metal sound is crazy mean and clear from such a small head. Last little lunchbox head is this Hughes & Kettner Grandmeister Deluxe 40. Same aesthetic and high fidelity quality as the Triamp, but what's incredible is just how much they've packed into this thing. Clean crunch, lead and ultra channels, noise gate, individually voiced boosts, built-in digital effects suite, MIDI control. Like in terms of features, it rivals even the Boss Katana, except this one is all tube tone. It's so much fun to play around with, and it's got DI out, so it can go right in your interface as well. And of course, what matters the most is it looks f***ing cool, obviously. And the last amp right now is a metal classic. It's a PV6505 Plus. People love these, not just because they redefined high gain and are still like the standard for metal tone, but they're also built like absolute brick houses. They are so reliable, it's almost stupid. This one was made when they were still built in the USA, which puts it 2014, 2015 at the latest. It was definitely well used already when I scored it on Craigslist though. It had definitely seen a few miles. As far as I can tell, it's never been retubed. It's still got the original rubies. Occasionally, the amp itself makes this high-pitched squealing sound, which is kind of concerning, but it doesn't come through the speaker output, so I guess everything's okay. I mean, I can't complain. I picked it up for 300 bucks, and the recorded tone is phenomenal. Like, somehow PV got it so right with the 5150 that this is still one of the gold standards for modern metal tone. So those are the amps. It's definitely a bit of overkill. For the day-to-day, I definitely don't need all this. I realize how lucky I am. And over quarantine, started getting a lot more into the specifics of tone, experimenting with different amps, different IRs. I used to mainly use the same setup over and over and over again because I knew that worked and I knew it was a good sound, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, let's see what this sounds like through the Mesa Dual Rec. But being stuck inside, it's been re-inspiring to have so many different amazing sound generating tools to choose from and get the most out of the guitars that come in for demos. Unlike the amp situation, the pedal board has not changed at all since last year. I've said it for a while, they're fun. I'm just not a huge pedal person. In front of the amp, ISP Decimator noise gate, my favorite. Very responsive, very transparent, going into a Boss TU3 tuner. Then a Digitech drop. Love this pedal. I usually use Cleartone or D'Addario XT 9-42s. I love super light strings, but it kind of limits how low I can tune the actual guitar. With the drop though, you can just go from drop D to drop B, for example, on the fly. And the pedal is surprisingly transparent and responsive. There isn't a huge tracking delay, and it doesn't change the tone too much if you stay within reason, at least. My go-to boost for the last couple years has been the Horizon Devices Precision Drive. I love this boost. It's Tube Screamer-esque, but then it's got multiple tightness levels and a built-in noise gate. Like, this in front of the Mesa is godly. And then the last thing in front of the amp is a Mission Audio Rewa Pro. Carbon fiber looks really cool, sounds really good too, which I guess is also important. Then in the effects loop, another ISP Decimator gets rid of that preamp hiss. Can't stand that during recording. Boss Wazacraft DM2 delay, such a nice, warm sounding delay. And finally, an old Japanese Boss CE2. Basically, the Metallica clean tone in a box. Everything is powered using an MXR ISO brick, really nice isolated power supply, and that's it. Very simple pedal board, 25% of which is noise gate. So that is the 2021 gear collection. Shout out to all the companies that help support the channel. Obviously, without their support, there is no way there'd be the extensive and versatile arsenal we just went through. And of course, thanks to you guys for watching the videos, for liking the content, for putting up with my trash upload schedule, and just hanging out to talk gear. Coolest job I've ever had, and you guys make it possible. So we're approaching 100K, which is absolutely insane. I've been setting up a big giveaway to celebrate and show my appreciation. Make sure you subscribe, you've got the bell tick for notifications, etc. In general, I want to start doing more giveaways because, again, in general, I really appreciate you guys being here. In the meantime, leave a like and a comment down below. All hail the YouTube algorithm. Check out the Reverb store, and I can't wait to give some guitars away. Thanks for hanging out with me to talk guitar stuff. Social media, merch, and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.